Hey everybody, this is Silver Spook, and it is time to talk about working out and how you have to work out. You simply have to. No excuses. You got to get in the gym like right this second. You got to. No, I'm just kidding. Um, but yeah, we will be talking about um, working out. This is partially inspired by some discussion that's been happening in some spaces recently. But I thought it's a good topic to bring up from time to time, which is exercising, uh, strengthening oneself, um, doing making sure that you're doing everything that you possibly can do in order to make your body as fit as possible. Um, and I think it caused it caused a big stir in the social media space. You might not be in the space where it was caused. It might be, it's probably very small in the global context, but it's not it, but it is it's a recurring topic, right? Which is um and it's not just exercise. I mean, I obviously I'm being kind of intentionally inflammatory, which the original poster it's a I believe it's a Pakistani person who lives in so-called Canada, um, who initiated a recent explosion of complainers and whiners and adult children. Obviously, there's many people that are, that have, like, ideas about, how much and when they should or should not be exercising. But it was an intentionally inflammatory post to get a particular reaction from, particularly, you know well Western people on social media, particularly privileged people. And it is a call out. It is a call out. While it is, like, while the post was inflammatory, it was also had a had a lot of grains of real truth to them, which I agree with. Um, but sorry, my computer is having some strange. My computer is being a bit weird right now. My computer has not been working out enough. Okay, there we go. Anyways, so first up, we talk about exercising, right? Obviously, what kind of exercise people are doing is gonna be different from person to person. Um, Also, like, working out, like strength training. You have cardio. You know, um, as our friend Jesse Eisenberg and famous, watching a lot of zombie movies recently. Working on my Resident Evil. I'm working on this Resident Evil homage send up, and as Jesse Eisenberg said in Zombieland, rule number two of surviving the apocalypse, the zombie apocalypse, is cardio, if I'm not mistaken. So, but it's not just, cardio, strength training. There's all these different types of exercises that people can be doing. How much they can or should be doing, is, it varies. There is a spectrum of, uh, you know, levels of exercise that people can do, and it's not just physical exercise. It's mental exercise. There's, you know, um, you know, on top of strength training, there's also like endurance. But You know what? I'll just jump straight to the post because I'm gonna try not to swear. I believe it has swearing in it, but we'll just jump straight to the one that blew up. So this is from Karen Fatima Opal, who is a Central Asian person, I believe, lives in somewhere in the Ontario region, if I'm not mistaken. If you're a leftist, you need to be working out 4 to 5 days a week and learning self-defense, along with organizing with neighbors and in your local community for defense, food sovereignty, and community defense. There's no excuse not to do something to strengthen your body daily. The time for nihilism, self-pity, and excuses is over. We are living in a fascist country, whichever country you're living in the West. Our vulnerable neighbors and people of the global south, e.g. Palestine, need us to step up. Yes, there's a lot you cannot control in the world. What you can control is what food, drink, smoke, etc. you put inside your body, and you can control, for the most part, how you move your body and when and to what end. Use that, focus on what you can control. Anyways, so that's like the basic gist of it, and a lot of people got really upset about that. Yeah, a lot of people got really upset about that, particularly the first post, because it is, asking you to do things, right? Which is, people get upset about that. But and obviously this is talking about leftists, but it doesn't have to just be people who I self-identify as of the left edge of the political spectrum. And I think that like some of the well, let's go back. I'll get into the nitty gritty of the back and forth later, but just in general, right? If whatever you're doing, right, it's kind of like whether you are at whatever level of ability you're at, right? Whether your work is physical, like if you are a firefighter or I don't know, somebody who builds houses. There's people building houses very close. So if you hear any construction sounds, that's sorry about that. But they were building a house in the middle of a 6.3, I think it was downgraded to a 5 something earthquake. So they had to be physically able to stand on top of a half finished house and not fall off of it in the middle of an earthquake, which just happened in Hawaii yesterday. Spoiler alert, we all survived. No deep impact tsunamis to report. Anyways, but in order to do whatever work you're doing, right, you need to be, it's some kind of, even if you're doing intellectual work, your physical body does impact your mind's ability to complete work. Even if you're just doing office work, you're doing Excel spreadsheet work, you're sending emails, right? Your physical state, the exercise and your body's ability to process energy, your heart, your organs, your blood, your metabolism, right? That does impact your mind. I mean, I know it impacts mine. I mean, just speaking from personal experience. If I don't do some physical activity or some, exactly how much, it's, but I have to do a reasonable amount, like a physical activity within a week and usually basically every day. Otherwise, it will hinder me. I will feel worse. I won't be able to do as much mental work. A lot of what I do, obviously, I make, at Silver Spook Games, Silver Spook Cooperative, my most of my time is spent making, in front of a keyboard, coding C# scripts, programming, inputting vast quantities of data into in front of a keyboard. It is like painting with a Wacom tablet, in Photoshop for hours on end. This week I was editing video, trying to learn how to make a 3-dimensional 95. I was trying to put characters from a 2000 video game into a 1995 first-person shooter engine called Doom, and that was the whole thing. So, but a lot of this is, my point is that's a lot of mental work that I'm doing. It's a lot of mental work. It's a lot of intellectual work, creative work. It is fairly sedentary work. I'm actually standing right now, so it's another thing. I'm basically always standing. Part of that is because I am also, I have reduced levels of ability, or also sometimes called disability, which is something that basically everyone will have at some point. And one of those is that my back and other problems in my spinal column just like prevent me from being in certain positions. And if I do too much exercise, then I can have, then there's like there is like a bell curve, right? There is like a range, right, of exercise and specific types of exercise I can do per day. Like if I try to run 26 miles, I don't know if I could do that, and then I will be out of commission. I will be a decommissioned, you know, I will be terminated, you know, in science fictional terms. I will be an obsolete T-800 for a good 3 days. You know, I will be just wiped out. So if I did like 3 hours of exercise in one day, that's too much, right? And then that will be like that will be going so hard that I'm like breaking my own engine, right? And so that's counterproductive. If I don't do any, then I will have like my total ability to produce, my total energy to do the intellectual work, creative work, you know, again, the painting, programming, writing. I spend a lot of time writing. That will all be reduced as well, right? But if I do like, you know, half an hour, hour, somewhere, hour and a half, you know, and a certain kinds of exercise, like if I try to do like extremely strenuous exercise, particularly that uses a lot of shoulder movements, and like if I do like heavy lifting where I have to like put my hands forward for specific reasons specific to my body, that could throw me out of commission and put me in you know, it feels like there's like liquid metal poured into, you know, my vertebrae that is radiating out, like, you know, like it's kind of like fountains of pain shooting out from through the shoulder blades into the deltoids, down into the biceps, triceps, and then into you know, my forearms, right? And so if I do those specific exercises, that is not productive, right? Or if I do those specific motions, that's not productive. Like I can lift things in certain ways, right? I can climb up and down houses. I've been on roofs. I spent time on roofs. I redid an entire roof. I actually did I've added some disabilities because I did too much on this roof, in part. I spent like 2-3 hours a day at one point, and that was pushing it too much, doing too much repetitive motion, right? Basically like sandpapering away the limited collagen and you know, the brake pads in my shoulder and elbow joints, and increasing the, you know, like fraying the cables of my deltoid rotator cuff tendons and you know, stretching, you know, it's just like over stressing that, causing tendonitis and you know, other. I'm not sure exactly what all is, but there's like problems that have been caused by over exercising. But if I did nothing, right? So I don't do that now. But if I did nothing, then that would also not be good. Which is what many people do, unfortunately, and they make excuses for that. So you know, there is a sweet spot, there is a Goldilocks zone to working out, and it varies from person to person, from body to body, from time to time. When I was younger, I could do a lot more. You know, when I was like 15, 18, yeah, I'm 41 now, so I was doing an interview for I don't have, you know, tens of thousands of dollars per month in paid ads. So here is my unpaid ad for my friend's podcast. I'll be showing up, the science fiction fantasy podcast, Imaginary Worlds, which is like NPR if they went to San Diego Comic-Con and never came back. That's their actual tagline. Anyways, but long story short, I recently did a podcast that will be coming out very soon on this channel, which is really cool podcast, like episodes like Class of '84, Rise of Villains. This person is a real fan of the Terminator, Skynet, iRobot, all the cyberpunk things. So we had a good time talking about that. And I'm actually reading Ursula Le Guin's Left Hand of Darkness as we speak. So, you know, a cool podcast to check out. Thanks for listening to my unpaid ad that I don't make any money from. But the point is, but while I was talking to Imaginary Worlds, um, Eric, the host, and he was saying like, I thought you were like way younger than you are. That's what I was. That's what I was segueing from. And I was like, no, I'm actually not that young. I did read Neuromancer in college, so maybe that's late to read it. Uh, but I'm actually 41, and when I was younger, along with reading Neuromancer, I could also, do. I actually play football in high school, so I did the whole strength training. I did the like. There wasn't really gym bros at the time. But I had like, I used to like compete with the PE teacher who was a Arnold Schwarzenegger pumping iron magazine lover back when magazines were loved rather than used as doorstops and job security for WASP relatives. The New Yorker. And so the strength coach would like, we would like bench, we would be like competing to see who could bench, what, 280 or 300 or whatever. And so I did that whole thing, and I played football too. I was kind of pushed into playing football because of, playing sports is not bad. Team sports and sports in general is not bad. But I wasn't like, I was not like, what I want to do with my life is play football. But I was pushed to be like, this is what you want to do with your life, by society. And obviously I'm like a non-binary person, or well, for us native Hawaiians, Mahu, but it's a non-binary gender fluid person. Now it's like, I don't think that being a football player was not the role in society I actually wanted to fulfill. But like appreciating like physical exercise, doing physical exercise, training, and that's not a bad thing. I did a powerlifting competition one year, and that was fun. This was in the 1990s, right? So the connotation of, I think some people like nowadays, right? Unfortunately, this was one of Karen's points. Nowadays, unfortunately, a lot of exercise workout culture can be associated more with like right wing, more conservative types. Let's just say, to be kind of more vague about it. It's this way. It's kind of like there are ads for gyms now that are literally like, here is a gym where there won't be mean, nasty, douchey guys in it, and it'll be a nice place for you to work out. There are ads like that now, and part of that's just the reality of the 20-teens and 2020s. But then a side effect of that is that some people that lean on the left of the spectrum in the West, really do, they kind of pick up an idea, or it's kind of been normalized in left circles that, working out, that's a thing for right wingers. People who listen to Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan, they work out, but we don't do that. And I think that's kind of unfortunate, because, like I said, right, like if you don't want to be somebody who is overdoing it, or being in a space where people are demeaning you, just being real dicks to you. That's not good, right? But like physically keeping yourself healthy and maintaining your body, and that those are good things, no matter what your politics is, right? But those things have kind of been there's been like weird and unfortunate schisms that have caused people, and that's a lot of the backlash to it. As part of the backlash is like, just getting like kind of triggered by getting triggered into very like post-traumatic gym bro disorder memories of that time you tried to exercise, and then there was just like these group of manosphere types that just misgendered you and made a kind of spouted a bunch of like ethnic slurs or epithets and just drop into R slur like it's 1998 and you're like, I don't think I'm going to go back to working out. That wasn't fun. I mean, like that's the thing that happens. I haven't gone to any gyms. To be 100 with you, I am not selling overpriced coffee. I am not selling cancer dispensaries, also called Stanley Cups, that are full of lead, and I am not selling gym memberships of any kind. 24-hour fitness. I'm not selling Arnold Schwarzenegger's magazine, Pumping Iron. I'm not here to promote. I'm not here to propagandize. Market exercise equipment, Bowflexes, ab crunchers, kettlebells, dumbbells, smart bells, which I think is what Elon Musk wishes he lifted because he's an idiot. But so I'm not here to like say that I'm not just like I have some agenda to get you some creatine powder. I am not gonna show you a fit and take fistfuls of lamb heart and bull testicles and shove them in my face like that one giant red dude who just eats raw meat all the time as a marketing scheme to prop up the not so good for climate animal agriculture industry. Anyways, or whatever he's doing. I don't know what he's doing. I shouldn't say that. Maybe he just like he has a metabolic condition that prevents him from processing cooked animal proteins and fats. I don't know. Anyways, so but so my point is that like when you're exercising, or that exercising, well, one point exercising, because this is one of the, I don't know how much if I go too far into the weeds, I'm gonna get lost. So I'm gonna try not to do that. But one comment on Karen's discussion. That's the same one. One of the comments was that, I don't want to go to a gym. Gyms are expensive. What you're saying, I have to go to the gym? Well, you don't have to go to a gym to work out. That's an important one. Gyms are expensive. Holly and I, we couldn't afford a gym. We're not planning to sign up for a gym, but we can work out at home. Like as Holly brought up, we have a small 3-pound weight, and then there's a rock that weighs like, I don't know, 8 pounds or whatever. We have 25-pound 8-gallon 5-gallon jugs of water, and we have 3-gallon jugs that weigh so those, the 3-gallon is 24 pounds and the 8-gallon is 40 pounds. Water is approximately, anyway, so we just have stuff around the house. I'll use like bottles of Walmart Great Value hydrogenated soybean oil if necessary, or hopefully not hydrogenated, just olive oil or canola oil. I'll use that if we have I'll use bags of Orville Redenbacher popcorn, if I need to, and then I eat it after. It's really convenient. You lift, right, and then you microwave your weights, and then there's your dinner right there. There's your girl dinner, or boy dinner, or mahu dinner, or non-binary dinner, whatever dinner you want, right? So it's really convenient to not have to go to a gym and just use things in your vicinity. Don't people remember like when Macklemore was trending in the Depression, the second Great Depression, misnomered Great Recession, when everybody started CrossFit and were just stepping up and down park benches because they couldn't afford gyms? You can still do that. You can still do that. You don't need to spend tons of money that you don't have to go to an overpriced equivalent of a consumerist, a consumerist Miu Miu, or men's overpriced power tool section, which is about increasing the total, which is under a consumerist capitalist system, trying to maximize the amount of money that people are spending on things they don't need for profit. And so the gym, I would argue, a lot of it is not necessary. You don't need all of that machinery. Like it can help. Having a universal machine that gives you easy access to, you can do, what do you call, lat pull downs. You can do shoulder presses. Pretend to be doing a Donkey Kong gorilla press. Doing leg extensions, and that's convenient. It's not necessary though. You can just I think Jason Momoa just is Aquaman. All he does, he's in very good shape. He just does rock climbing on rocks, or you can do rock climbing. I know they open like rock climbing centers, right, that like have simulated rock walls, but it's not absolutely necessary. Like taking the escalator to get to the stairmaster, right? This is over resourced Western culture, and it's kind of ridiculous when you think about it. It's about compartmentalizing reality and then making tons of money, and having people who have very warped ideas of what normal is, right? And so anyways, but long story short, so you don't need to go to a gym. You can work out however you want with whatever you can afford. So that's another important point. Or the other ones. Holly and I were talking about this a lot yesterday. So working out. One of the big complaints, probably the thing that this thing, Holly read this post, right, and it was like, you have to be working out 45 days a week, learning self-defense and organizing with neighbors. But obviously the first one is the working out one, and obviously it's the tone, which is like, you have to do this, right? And a lot of people like, you're not my mother, Dad. had a visceral reaction to that. Like being asked to do things. Like, you don't tell me what to do. You can't tell me what to do. There's some people had that reaction, and some people had, well, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't work out 45 days a week because X and Y and Z, and double A and double B, and alpha, beta, gamma reason, delta reason. A lot of reasons why they can't, and it's kind of like proving the point, right? Which is kind of like, that's why I said like there's no excuses. Where in something else, at Holly or thinking about, like when you look at the responses, I'm not going to go through every single response, but a lot of the responses are a lot of the responses were kind of ridiculous. Like, what was that one? You're telling us to work out, but you don't even wear a mask, right? They were telling Karen this. If I just Google, like, right? They're accusing Karen of not wearing masks. Like, Karen is like wears masks and is a proponent of masking. People in Asia have been wearing masks as a normal thing for years, pre-pandemic. It's simple. It's a particularly Western thing to be so up your own self that wearing a simple mask is too much. So Karen has been an advocate for masking, and this is somebody saying, this was somebody who commented on that post, right? On Karen, do you mask up every time you're around other people? And Karen's like, yes, I do. But do you see how it's like people were feeling, I think, in many instances, personally called out by their lack of doing all the work, physically exercising, or work in general, right? Housework, outside the housework, helping their household survive capitalism by making the money that needs to be made, or doing, so people were feeling personally called out that they were asked to do a thing they know they can do, right? And so the responses, right? So the responses being, you don't even wear a mask. What does that have to do with working out? Number one. Number two, where do you have the evidence for that? Or you just hate disabled people. That's another one, right? Or I'm disabled. You can't ask me to do that. Well, Karen didn't say you specifically, you person who is, quadriplegic. You have such severe, form of long COVID that if you work out, it will literally destroy your body. Or you have, a syndrome. You have like endometriosis plus Ehlers-Danlos syndrome plus MECFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, and it will destroy your body. It will just, you simply cannot work out for like an hour, because of your physical disability. So Karen didn't say that, but people, the thing is, Holly and I are talking like, we know we're disabled people, right? This thing was, I'm disabled, I can't work out. Or I have this condition, I can't work out. Holly and I were both disabled, like I already said, in multiple ways. Holly has chronic fatigue syndrome. Holly has MECFS. And like that, Holly will be laid out if Holly does more than a certain amount and certain kinds of activity, and won't be able to do anything because of this problem. Incited by an earlier viral / bacterial infection in life, which is also what long COVID is a ongoing bodily damage that causes chronic fatigue syndrome like syndrome. Anyway, so those are like things that could actually cause your body to not be able to endure certain amounts of working out. But even still, right? Like Holly still works out. Holly, we went to the library. We walked around there. We did school time. We went out. We did some shopping. Holly did shopping. We drove around, and we came home, and then cleaned house, did dishes, took care of the kids, like activities, went outside, did some exercise, did some physical exercise, lifted, not with thousands of dollars worth of overpriced hunks of steel called dumbbells under some probably GENOCIDE supporting corporations, corporate, throwaway after Christmas exercise machines. Holly just lifted some weights around the house, and then did lots of other stuff. Holly actually helped me way late at night filming something, which was also physical exercise for me. I was trying to physically exercise and also physically stretch, which is also important, so that I could actually do like a bunch of jumping, flying kick, somersault, Trinity from the Matrix moves / Mila Jovovich, crescent kicking a zombie's head off in bullet time. That's what I'm not even joking. You will see this soon. We were filming like late at night, because that's like that's just how it worked out. But long story short, like all there's a lot of physical activity, even with chronic fatigue syndrome, even with like multiple kinds of disability. Holly's hands, and I shouldn't be too specific with all of them, but there's like we as a collective here, we have carpal tunnel syndromes. We have problems from broken bones that result in tendons not functioning, or we use a hand too often and it goes numb. Like I have, so we all have some amount of these disabilities. I had like a horrible disease that caused long-term tinnitus in one ear, massive multiple sclerosis, like brain scarring. I have all kind of other, that was when I was 15 too. And it's a lingering chronic long-term impact that disables me as well. But the point is that we still do whatever we can, because number one, work needs to be done, and households, cooperatives, capitalist or communist, socialist, whatever, work needs to be done to survive in the world, and it also needs to be done to change the world, to make it better. It takes more work than to survive it. That's a point that like really get on my soapbox about. It's really important. If you are a leftist and you're claiming that you want to change the world to make it socialist, make it different, that takes more work than to simply exist and remain at the status quo in a capitalist system, right? So Karen is absolutely correct that if you claim to want to be a leftist, but you're not doing, at minimum what you can do physically and mentally, and then probably you're gonna need to go a little bit beyond that, or a lot beyond that, to really make changes in the world. Because, right, I mean, whether that's like, because you have to pay for all your bills, and you have to, right, your rent, your housing, your food, and then you'll have to, right, organize outside with your comrades or whatever kind of organization you're with to be active in that. And then and to really make changes is going to require like a large scale organizing activity. Like I said, like how are you going to feed, house, clothe those people? You're going to be attacked because of your views in a lot of corporations and governments that are owned by liberal, neoliberal, obviously capitalist friendly establishment. And unless, right, so it's like, unless you have, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, right? So you're basically a liberal. You are not left. You are just a normal Western, quote unquote, apolitical person, which is to be, what that is. And so but the reason why people are feeling called out, I think, the people that are feeling called out, and I believe it is rightly so. There are probably people that are not doing everything they can to, exercise. There are people that are doing no jumping jacks, right? Like, well, I can't do any jumping. I can do, like, the people who are doing no push-ups, no jumping jacks, and not walking and not doing any exercise. Because we know people, Holly and I, we know people. We know a lot of these people. I thought it was amazing to me. I was like, wow, there are people who really literally do nothing. They like live in their parents' apartments, or they like just mooch off of their roommates. Tend to be men, not always, but tend to. And it's like, wow, these people really exist in the world. Like people who like sit in their room, like do nothing but like watch YouTube videos. And that's not good for my algorithmic. That's not good for my algorithmic shine, I'm sure, to say that, but that's all they do. And or Netflix, and then play games, and then don't do any actual physical activity, or almost none. Don't work whenever they're asked to do things by their parents, usually wealthy parents, cousins, friends, roommates. They're asked to just do some chores. Like, can you like take the garbage out? Can you like wash your clothes or something? Can you like contribute your part of the rent? No, I'm too busy playing, Cyberpunk 2077 or Shadowrun, or watching this 89,000th YouTube video, basically being a mushroom on the log. I'm being a lichen, right? Just leaching nutrients out of the tree that is trying to grow. It's like, and not to say that like people who are actually disabled don't deserve to have care, right? But that people claim they cannot do work under the guise of often physical and mental disability. I'm just a broken person. I'm just a mess. I can't. But they actually can. They simply don't want to, or they're a spoiled, lazy brat, man or woman, child. And that tends to be the case. We know several people, as I brought up on other streams, is people that I've worked with. One of the reasons why I tend to work solo is because some of the people that I've worked with in the game development world are those kind of people. Like, they'll say they can't. Usually what happens is they'll say they can't. And then multiple of these people who worked on Terminus Machina, and some people who might have worked on Neofeud, but they didn't. They would say, I just can't because I'm just depressed today. I'm just so down. I can't do anything today. I'm so, and people have depression, and people have sadness, and people have physical disabilities, right? But then when it was something they wanted to do, they're like, I can't even do anything today. But when it was a fun thing, they had 8 hours for Shadowrun tabletop RPGs with their friends. When it was like watching their movies, they could be up and doing that. When it was going and hanging out and just partying, they had energy for that. But when it was time to work, they suddenly had no energy, right? So, and the people who are, I think the people who are upset that they're being called out to say like, you have to do work, you have to do like, you have to contribute to the collective project you claim you want to build, right? And they know they're not, and so and that's why they're coming back at the non-white Muslim Central Pakistani person who is living in a horribly racist and fascist so-called Canada country, and coming back at her correct claims that people need to be doing everything they possibly can in all ways, with real self-defense. And this was intentional, to draw this kind of like to draw the infection out like a warm compress, sucking out the pus and the internal rot from a cyst or a boil, right? It's kind of like you can see these people that are coming out and just making up accusations, right? Like, you just hate disabled people, you're an ableist person, you must not mask. No precursory, no receipts, no research, no nothing. Just you must be somebody who just is infected everyone with COVID. You must just be a gym bro. That actually was telling, right? You must be a right winger who watches Fox News. You must be a toxic masculine person, or like a trad wife, cottagecore, Stepford wife for some horrible alpha dude man, because the only people that work out are those kind of people, right? That's actually a big problem. That's actually right, because as I said, right, it's like working out is not just a thing of right wingers. Like, working out should be a thing that people do. I mean, like, just as an example, right? Like in other countries outside of the West, like in a lot of Asian countries, everybody just does exercise and works out. I mean, no matter what their political spectrum. Like there's like 70, 80-year-old Chinese guys in the parks that are like doing like near Olympic grade, uneven pole gymnastics, not that you have to do that if you're a 70, 80-year-old Chinese guy, but like, it's just a thing that people do to do whatever they can to the maximum of their ability, because that's culturally what is the norm, right? Whereas, in a lot of Western countries, like that, especially in the more privileged circles you're in, status, economic realm you're in, which unfortunately is a lot of the Western left. Ideally it wouldn't be, but that's a lot of where it is. What you have is a lot of, a normalization of not caring for your body, putting whatever you want in it, food and smoke and not doing the exercise. That it can be hard. Now, some people like exercising, but it is work. It is a certain amount of work. I mean, you're gonna feel some pain. You're gonna be winded. It doesn't necessarily always. Some people, it doesn't feel necessarily good to exert your body. That's why they say no pain, no gain, right? If you do resistance training, you're gonna have some amount of pain. So if your entire life, right, revolves around avoiding pain and seeking pleasure, that's a liberal Western, selfish mentality. Then that's where a lot of people are, right? Like the people I was talking about, who don't do any work or try to do as little work as possible and lie about their levels of ability to get out of work. I mean, whether that's job work, contributing to the household chores, participating emotional labor work. They want all the emotional labor. They don't give any back, whatever that is. But that is a selfish, infantile, Western liberal mentality, which is I avoid things I don't like and I just get whatever I want, right? And if I don't get whatever I want because, I don't know, my parents have enabled me with their, big salaries that pay my rent, have paid my bills, paid my my room and board my whole life, and I'm 40 years old now, or 35 or 50 or 45 or whatever age, and I don't want to stop taking advantage and basically like just leeching off of other people's resources, right? Whether those parents are working or those parents themselves are like wealthy Goldman Sachs high frequency trading algorithm programmers, New York bankers, Vancouver, I don't know, oil barons, or Silicon Valley billionaires like Elon. I mean, whatever, not to say everybody's a child of a billionaire. You can be a child of a multi-hundred-thousandaire and not do much work. That's very normal for the children of boomers and Gen Xers. They tend to raise children that are giant babies, basically. I mean, let's be real. And that's a problem. That's a problem if you want, because you can't change systems with people that are the human equivalent of doorstops. Like you can't change systems with people that expect others that do not do the work that it will take to produce system change or any change, right? A generation of people who are ostensibly the great leader, are ostensibly going to be leading a change, are not. If the other side, right? If you have one side is bringing out $800 billion of military, mountains of funding cop cities everywhere, right? Rolling out all these horrible policies, in terms of economic, policing. They're ableist, they're racist, they're sexist, they're, increasing incarcerations, right? That is not something that's going to change just because you had a bunch of good takes on social media, or your virtues are properly signaled on your YouTube. I mean, not to say but what I mean by that is like, if you have the most purest, most correct, non-problematic statements on your publicly visible social media, that is not going to change the horrific, actually existing and increasing systems of oppression that you claim you are fighting and or want to fight. It will take work. It will take a lot of work. Like I said, it will take more work. It will take more collective work of 330 million Americans or 38 million Canadians or whatever, right? It will take more work from those people collectively to change that system than the already large amounts of work it takes to survive it. And if you aren't doing that work, it's because your parents are doing it for you. The global south is, your parents have tapped into a system of neocolonialism that is extracting global south oil, gas, resources, and labor into the north. And your parents are well positioned in that, and they're feeding it to you, right? And that's a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of the like Xennial into some Gen Z generation. And that is and actually the liberal system wants you to be disempowered, right, and lazy, and not physically fit and not mentally in a sense of fitness, like like just basically like at whatever peak of ability you can be at the level of disability you're at in the moment. Again, disabled people can work out. This is a big lie that is propagated, and it is in the interest of the capitalist and ruling classes that people believe that, because then it solidifies their control over the society. And I will I'll directly go back into one of my previous streams where I discussed that. It was the controlled controlled thinning. Where the heck is it? Controlled thinning. The rich don't want us to be healthy, empowered, or around at all. So like in this video, where I was talking specifically about how how the ruling classes, capitalists, etc., they want people to get as sick as possible. This is why they're not telling the truth about masking and etc. And the real impacts of COVID and the real knock-on impacts of reinfections, right? Among other things, right? So but one part of being empowered, one part of being, I almost said being all you can be. I'm not doing U.S. military ads, obviously, as a native flying under ongoing U.S. illegal colonial occupation, but in the country of Hawaii, but the like at what level of disability, what actual level of disability, not the level you're lying about, like you can't do anything, right? Like at the actual level of ability that you're at, maximizing your body and your mind's ability to maintain that, right? And part of it is not getting COVID, right? Because if you get COVID, then many people, I've talked about this. I've spent many hours talking about COVID with the Syndemic video and this one and several others. And I'm doing a PSA video about COVID by doing a homage to Resident Evil, where but it's going to be normal corporation slogan, pandemic over, and you walk into the umbrella corporation, evil corporation office, and you're the only masked person, and everyone unmasked is degrading and deriding you, and then eventually they all catch the H virus, which is the herd virus, which no one is immune to. The herd thinking that no one is immune to, and then they all be zombified and die. Anyways, but but not getting COVID-19, trying to limit the spread of COVID-19, that is maximizing your ability. Because when you get COVID, well, you have brain, you could be, dementia is rampant in the COVID patients, that is destroying your ability to do any work. We have multiple Ko-Fi and Patreon supporters have had to drop out for us, just anecdotally, and this is like, it's a good number of people. Obviously the biggest impact is for their lives, right? But we this is like one of the ways we can see this happening, because they've had to drop out because they're mentally, they cannot do work anymore, or physically, but a lot of them are mental. A lot of them are office workers. They can't do work anymore because they got COVID and they have deep dementia and Alzheimer's style symptoms that prevents them from even thinking straight. They can't do programming. They can't do like writing essays, video essays even, right? They can't do the intellectual labor they used to do as a IT person, manager, accountant, whatever. And now they're out of money, right? And now they're out of job, and now they need other people to care for them, right? Or physically, if you get COVID, you might not be able to walk 10 steps without being winded. A lot of people, this is happening, right? And anyway, I've gone over that a lot. So I think it just goes to cut this off. My point is that, like, so increasing your infections, right, by not distancing, masking, trying to demand air. We can't, ideally we'll get clean air, filtered air in all indoor spaces, and some kind of, barely 1% sensible Western policies and governments doing the right thing. But we shouldn't bet on it for reasons that and so wearing masks is an important thing. But in the same way the mask the mask will strongly prevent you from getting infected with many things. RSV, tuberculosis, right? Cholera. It's coming back. The plague, the Black Plague is back, but also COVID-19. In the same way that the mask will maximize your body's ability, right? Whereas if you get COVID, you'll have your ability massively destroyed. Everyone who has COVID, some scientists are saying that everyone who has COVID is disabled, because COVID it doesn't stop. Or once you catch it, it lingers in your body, in your organs. It's in 100% of posthumous or autopsied patients that had COVID. Every single one of them, no matter they tested COVID positive with nasal swabs, 100% of people who have had COVID have found their bodies to have had COVID in their heart still. So in the brain, in what they call the blood-brain barrier region of your brain, in your heart, in organs, COVID is destroying your body, right? So anyway, but that's not what this stream is about. So I'm going to get off of that. So part of maintaining your all of the masses, right, all the workers, all the people, right, ability, right, is not getting sick as much as possible, especially with these horribly mass disabling viruses, right? And then part of that is then also maintaining that body with exercise, right? And just eat it, just treating your body as well as you can, right? In the current level of ability you're at, maximizing and keeping the body that you have as healthy as possible. Now, if you get COVID, right, in initial onsets, in some cases you might want to it is advisable to stop the workouts, especially in the initial phases, because if you work out too hard when you get COVID-19, that can because of the way that the COVID spike protein and virus infiltrates your body's mitochondria. It warps the body's cells, and it's the way the cells process energy. And so working out can exacerbate COVID, especially when you're in that initial phase. So like, right, so again, the working out is not just like you just work out as much. You have to work out all day, every day. Nobody is saying that, right? But that, like, again, what is the goal? The goal is to maximize your ability to do work, to maximize your body's ability to keep your tool as, right. Your body is like a machete, which you need to chop, for agricultural work, to cut zoos and things. You need that, right? To do not let your machete get dinged and dulled and rusted as possible, right? So you might pull back on the exercises if you get that COVID. Ideally, you don't get the COVID, right? But then once you're able to, then you resume an appropriate level of workout, right? To keep your body in the best shape it possibly can be in, right? And then so that you can continue to contribute to the work that needs to be done to make your own life and the world a better place, right? Right, so that's where actually, like, and so the masking, and it is not ableist. That is profoundly empathic, right? I would actually argue it is to disingenuously claim you have a disability when you don't, to get out of work, or to make completely unfounded accusations at people to try to blame shift away from you, who have been not doing the work you need to be doing, not cleaning your room. I don't like Jordan Peterson, but people do need to do work. I mean, it's like this idea that communism will show up and everyone will have fully automated luxury gay space utopia with nobody doing anything is just going to happen, right? That is a profoundly counterproductive, foolish concept that should go away as soon as possible. That's why I'm doing this partially, right? And then right. So it is actually ableist to not be honest about your own ability, because there are people who are disabled, like with serious disabilities, and those who really, like, as I said, like a lot of those people that we know anyway, they don't make those kind of unnecessary accusations, right? Because one of the, like, as I said, one of Holly's friends has, like, again, like, cannot move, like, very much because of, like, again, endometrial, like, her body is just like mass spraying scar tissue and just wrecking her insides of her torso area, right? Is in actual extreme pain from like various types and several other complicating factors, like in the abdomen region. And then, but still, like, she does all the work she can. Like, a lot of it is intellectual work, keeping the family's books, keeping them out of debt, out of bankruptcy. Her mother has dementia, which is also, right, can be deeply complicated, and you get a potentially multi-100% increase of dementia and severity of dementia when you get COVID, which the family's had. So, so Holly's friend is somebody who is doing all the work that she can, and never misses appointments with. She also like, we some of us out of our family like have play dates, of Minecraft hangouts and stuff, and she's never missed one of these things, right? So she's always like putting the intellectual work and putting the work in despite the physical real disabilities, right? And is somebody who, right, accepts that, oh well, I can't do these things, but I have other abilities that I can contribute to my community, my household, my neighborhood, right, my international digital online community. But those people are not the people that are getting upset at the call out to do your work physically and mentally and to work out, right? Right? It's people who have a guilty conscience, right? Who tend to be the people that are people who know they could be doing more, but they rest on their laurels because they found of like, I don't know, joining a leftist circle or something gives you admittance to some kind of cool, fun social club for you. And then you can weaponize your political virtues to extract labor from other people, including your household members, or your fellow roommates, your family, and sometimes people from around the world online. You can extract all kind of labor from them by weaponizing your incompetence, lying, right, being dishonest about your ability, and basically being a gaslighting, abusive person. That's basically being a capitalist. That's what a capitalist does. That's what a boss does, right? That's what a CEO does, is extract as much labor from everybody around him or her, while doing as little as possible, right? And so that's a kind of internalized liberalism, capitalism, selfishness in millions of younger Western people. It's unfortunate, especially ones that claim to be left. And like that's why it's like that stuff has to be caught. I mean, either you like the aesthetics, you like the social club aesthetics of being in left while you watch the world die, or you really believe that and you want to make things better, right? But it's kind of like you can't continue to you cannot continue to make excuses for not working out, and not doing other kinds of intellectual working out, exercising your mind, educating yourself, and then also like actually working, using the body that you have strengthened to do work, whether that's like having a physical job, moving the products, somebody has to move bags of groceries into your Instacart. They have to go through the aisles to get those things off the shelf. Somebody has to move physically your Amazon deliveries to and from, to get your Funko Pops, to get your medicines to you if you don't get it yourself. That's all work. Without that, all the life you have goes away. Essential workers that we all know since the pandemic started, who couldn't stop working, right? You could tell who was inessential because they got to keep teleworking and making 3, 4, 5, 8, 10 times more than the essential workers. So so that's all physical stuff. I mean that's easy. I mean, do you say that now? Have you ever worked stocking in a store, in a retail outlet? Have you like built houses, like repaired, been a plumber, had to care for children or elderly or infirm people? Have you had to deal with a parent with dementia? A lot of people say their words is it's hell, and it's not easy. It's not easy. It will take emotional work. It will take physical work. It will take mental work. If you have to move disabled people, you might need to be able to lift 100 pounds or more. Expecting other people to carry you when bad things happen to you is not a game plan for a future where people are being killed and disabled with dementia, with the basically becoming so physically impaired they can barely move. And if millions and millions of people are being disabled, number one, it's the time to be minimizing how disabled you get by masking, minimizing COVID exposure and all illness exposure, and then maximizing your body's strength. I mean, it is. It's just like, some people say like, you're not gonna beat Empire with your muscles or something. It's like, I mean, it's like, obviously you're not just gonna punch. You know, you're not gonna punch out like it's a 1980s Nintendo game. You know, Uncle Sam, or you know the military industrial complex, or the world's billionaires. You're not just gonna punch them out, but like there is physical work that needs to actually be done, and that has been done in places that have made significant changes, that have ousted imperial occupations, that have built socialist revolutionary systems. And you know, it has taken like so much work and risk to health and life, and it has taken many more physically fit people than exist in the West as a percentage by far. To put it kindly. And so that like that and that so if you become disabled, right, then it's like, actually then you know, other people, right, other people around, especially in those countries, they help. Like, they do help. Like you see the people in Palestine helping each other all the time, right? Some of them like even lost limbs, but they're still, even though they're missing limbs, they're in wheelchairs, they're still doing everything they can. Like, I've seen like, you know, guys with like, you know, missing multiple limbs are like, you know, themselves bleeding out, but they're like trying to carry as many people as they can. With a replaced leg or something, right? But they're like, so they're disabled people. They're like emotionally, psychologically, hugely traumatized people with like, just like such levels of trauma. It's like basically inconceivable for the average Western person. But they're still doing everything that they can, right? And that's the attitude, right? Which is like, whatever I can do, I'm gonna do to help the community, right? And yeah, I'm also gonna care for myself and help myself, but like but I need to think about the collective and the community. And so I'm working out. I'm doing this work for our collective project, our collective humanity, our collective society, our people here in the being bombed out parts of Rafah that we're trying to survive. You know, and you know, getting physically fit, it's this thing of, I don't want to get physically fit because I don't care to look like you know, a supermodel. That's not the mentality is all wrong already, right? I don't want to go to a gym because I don't want to look like a, you know, weird bubbly body John Cena dude, bro. No, John Cena's not dude, bro. But I don't want to have a big muscly body because I don't want to look like. I don't want my Insta to be filled with, you know, muscle pics or something. Or I don't want to be associated with those bad people. You have the completely wrong mentality. It's a Western mentality, you know. That is the unbearable quietness of being. That's a wrong mentality. You should want to get in shape so that you can contribute to the collective communities that you're in for your own self-worth, the own benefits to your own body and your mind, but also because then you can maximize how much you can help and be a part of the future you claim to want to build, but actually mostly you just like to collect accolades or something in your weird social club of whatever Western left you're in. And like that, so that you know, that's in, you know, it's like you know, this is not like it's like consuming identities, like shopping at the mall, right? Oh, I'm an anarchist today, Marxist tomorrow. I'll dabble in this, you know, post-structuralism now, and I'll try some of that Lenin. Oh, I don't really like it that much. There's too much tankies over here. You know, it's like, but the way the West does a lot of its like actual political systems change is the way they shop at, you know, the Gap or Hot Topic. And I did not to say that I don't shop at Hot Topic, but you know, it's like shopping for your identity in a consumerist, Western, liberal, privileged, capitalist way is the way that people think about ostensibly making the world a more equal and just place, right? And that's again, common but deeply misguided. And so when people say, okay, well now, right, you don't just take your parents' money and resources and shop for your identity. You have to like go and do stuff in the world that you see it like it's shocking. It's almost like personally, it can feel like, it's deeply troubling to those kind of people, right? They don't want to be they don't want still want to be asked of anything, right? And nobody has asked them of anything, right? Or they haven't asked enough of them. They have been coddled, you know and so, and we are at a point where things are worse. Things are getting worse. Right, the sea surface temperatures are broke another record today. They broke one yesterday. That's not going to be good for a lot of people. In the climate change sense, right? The COVID is having a W-shaped, wave. It's not going away, right? The J variant, parallel variant, is not going away. That's going to disable people. That means you're going to have to carry more people, right? Expecting, and somebody pointed out, like, if you just expect like you're going to put up a GoFundMe, or your parents or some rich person is going to throw money at you when you get disabled or when you get infirm, that's the wrong mentality. When you have a disease that is still running rampant that most people are not taking seriously, that's going to disable everyone. The people who used to have the resources and the money and or the body to carry you are having that decimated and destroyed, right? Which even more so is it is just multiplying the necessity to, again, maximize what you can do and how much work, and you have the mental strength and work ethic to do that work that you will need to do, right? It's kind of like anyway. So even before this, the moral argument for why people should be doing this stuff, there is a impending necessity. I mean, that's why we think about it. I mean, that's why I think about it. We're like, we have to be able to do everything. Holly was like, what if an emergency happens and I have to carry our kids, and then Holly's like, that was like, Holly was one of like Holly's wake up calls is watching the post-apocalyptic TV show, The 100, and like people have to carry children or have to carry each other because people get hurt in this dystopian survival environment. And it's like, what if I had to carry my children, right? And I was like, Holly's like, I better work out and get in shape. I mean, that's a good reason. I mean, because that's the thing that might happen. I mean, not only that's something that might happen. We do have to lift these heavy jugs and stuff. Not everybody's body in our household is capable of lifting the heavy things we need lifted, right? We have to lift. People have to be able to lift that. People have to do the garden work. We whacking, there's trees all over the place. People have to cut trees. I just have to cut a tree. So I have to be able to do that, or I have to do it as much as I can still do these things. We have like all this. We're trying to do land back decolonization, garden, like making a pluricrop food garden where there used to be a monocrop destructive lawn. Speaking of climate change, right? We're trying to do our best to contribute to stopping environmental erosion, species depletion, and also maintaining native Hawaiian species in the where we're full of alien, invasive, destructive mismanagement by the U.S. colonial capitalists. But that takes physical labor. I gotta go. Sometime soon. I'm gonna go out and do some more, whacking, tree trimming, and climbing, and stuff like that. So like I have to, that's the attitude. Is like, okay, well, things are gonna get worse, and we have the ability. We already all have some kind of immunocompromisation and disability. We better absolutely not get any COVID or any illness. We haven't, and just to say it one more time, we've worn masks every time we go out, and we haven't had a single cold, a flu, a strep, a monkeypox, no COVID whatsoever. None of us have had COVID-19 as far as we know. We have had no RSV, respiratory syncytia virus, no viruses, no stomach bug, none of that. And And that, what, you know what that does is that allows us to maximize how much work we can do. We don't get taken out. We're not like down for the count every 3 days out of a week like most people are. So sick they can barely think and function. Right? So that's part of it. And then also then we work out to maintain whatever ability we still have, so we can keep doing all the work we need. And we don't, in the future we might need to do even more work. Right? So as bad as things are, get ready to do more work, physical work and intellectual work. What if the power goes out where you're at? Right? Like that man who had to carry his, that father had to carry his son, I believe, had to carry his child in London up multiple, like hundreds of stairs because the power went down. Right? What if the power goes down where you are in your apartment complex? Who is going to carry you? Who are you going to have to carry to get them up the stairs? What if you run out, like, you know, oh, we're running out of workers, there's no workers, right? I mean, that's a real problem, right? They're saying like there's like pieces of bone and gristle and like foreign objects inside of food now. And that's because there are a dwindling number of physical workers that are competent in food processing, just product delivery. Where's your water going to come? Where's your food going to come from? Who is going to fix, your broken appliances when they bring your transportation, your car, your household, your electrician? You got to get up and down. They got to climb up and down things. They got to get up on high wires. Who's going to do all that work when millions of more people in your community are disabled, and then the electrical infrastructural grid starts to fall apart more, because it's not going to stop at the current rate. You have this ineffectual Western left, and the liberal capitalist system is going, well, let's just keep eating and let's just keep disintegrating the U.S. and Canada and devolve it into let's grind up everyone and turn it into as much money as we can. Right? Do you see how like this is the like part of it is we have to educate people about what the pandemic is. That the system that we're in, this capitalist, colonialist racist system, is bad, but then also prepare to do way more physical work as that. It's kind of like the built-in, the locked-in damage of climate change. Like, we're gonna get some, but that doesn't mean, that's not an excuse to do nothing. That's what the Guardian and BBC and New York Times like to do. It's kind of like that this doomerism doesn't help anybody, right? It's like that just means we're gonna have to do more to adjust everything that we have and everything that we do to fight for what remains, right? There's locked in damage from the capitalist system, right? Airplanes are going to start crashing soon. The plane almost crashed in Switzerland. There are increased accidents. There are increased damage to the manufacturing system. The supply chains are getting more and more gummed up, and this is going to increase. The worker shortages, which are doing essential labor, the wait times in government offices, doctors' offices, right? Healthcare worker shortages, nurses, doctors, that's going to keep going up. The competency of nurses and doctors who all have 6 rounds of COVID, that the dementia that the doctors and nurses have, one of the side effects of COVID is it preempts your ability to recognize risk. So you think that getting COVID increases your likelihood you will get reinfected. It's a genius disease. If an evil genius designed it at Umbrella Corporation or the CDC or WHO or the U.S. Western system generally, that was a genius. But so we're running out of able, competent people at the highest level. So that means that everyone is disabled. So it means from one vantage point, the idea that you can't do things because you're disabled and you can't work out you're disabled is not absolute nonsense, because everyone's already disabled, because virtually everyone, with very few exceptions, has had COVID. We're like the last healthy people on the world. We're like in the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed. In the kingdom of COVID havers, the COVID lists are king. We're not king, but but there's very few people who have that. So everybody has some level of disability, but that just means the people that are not completely, absolutely have to take on all that extra work that will have to be done. That needs to be done now, and will have to be done later. So getting out of this man baby attitude, this giant adult child attitude, cannot happen faster. Like, it's actually really, really critical. One of many things that has to happen. It's going to be ideally it happens before before the police are just running through rounding everybody up in your city, before the climate and the food systems collapse more severely, right? Because then the faster we get off of, the faster, and mostly in the West, in the rest of the world, they don't have this kind of problem as much. They're not dealing with that. They actually make fun of Americans, like they're a bunch of drug addicted, fat, lazy, poor work ethic people. Like they're not even worth. It's not even worth fighting them, because even if they wanted to fight, not that we want to fight, but because these people are such spoiled, soft little, just immature, ineffectual people. And it's true. It's really true. I mean, that's what imperialism does to you. That's what 500 years of colonialism and a neoliberal system that spoils its own generations. That's what it does. It creates a age of decay and decadence, and generations of just poorly disciplined, poorly trained, and adult generations that don't care to change that. The boomer and the Gen X, they've lived through the great American and Western boomers and Gen Xers lived through the greatest, not completely unjust era of wealth and prosperity, right, for the Western world, and they've been spoiled, right, and then they did the same thing to their children, and then now their children, that's millennial and Gen Z, a lot of them, and some of the younger generation, although decreasingly so, because the millennials don't have very much money to give nobody, and so those younger generations are the children of the decadence. They are the varsity jacket, spoiled little daddy's boy, but that's for like a whole generation, right? They are or we are, to a large extent, the people who have that positionality, right? And so, our parents and our older relatives who have lots of money and are reasonably insulated, not all of them are. A lot of them are dead, and a lot of them aren't insulated. But they're more insulated than Millennial Gen Z. They're not gonna, those helicopter boomer parents are not gonna ask you to work out. They will make excuses for why their little darling is not gonna have to do work. Right? I know my parents are like that. They're totally like that. And not just mine. I know a lot of the people who are like, I don't want to work with, and we've had to like remove from spaces that we're in. They were raised by, the mass, most privileged generation of all time, the boomer and then to a large extent the Gen X Western generation, and they created the children that by not giving consequences, by giving them all the money. When the kid said money please, mommy and daddy said here's your money. When they said I want a Transformers, here's your Transformers. When they said I want a vacation to Disneyland, they got it, right? And depending on what kind of family you're in, maybe you're still getting it, right? But then the parent, those parents are not going to ask their children. And number one, they're 70 years old and their kids are 40. So they're not going to ask their children. They're not really in a position to do that now. It's kind of too late. So it will take, I don't know what it's going to take. Maybe a lot of people are just going to get really rude wake up calls soon, right? But another important factor is that the right wing is working out. That's one of Karen's points. The right wing is working out really hard. Fascists are working out today. That's one thing. Fascists worked out today, did you? They are working out really hard. And that's not going to go well for when the liberals get the fascists to wipe out the left to maintain power as society starts to crumble further. That's not a game plan, and then like hoping that if you just, I will vote for the most progressive candidate and something and do some harm reduction and then hopefully they save me. That's not, unless you're very well privileged, very Caucasoid, if you're very, very, very privileged based on race, your family's net wealth or something, maybe that's a solution for you personally, but then you're not a leftist either. You're just a liberal. capitalist douchebag who likes to shop in the identity market, and that's just really terrible of you, and you're a terrible person. So anyway, it's now 12:57, and I think that ultimately though, that's what we want to do is we want to again, so you don't have to work out 5 times a day, 5 days a week. You should do an appropriate amount of exercise and be honest with yourself. Like, what is your real ability, right? Is the current level of work you do, physical and mental, are you cutting yourself too much slack? Could you do more? It's you have to kind of ask yourself that, right? And don't think of it like, oh, you have to do it because you just have some kind of hashtag self-betterment goals, like as a personal thing. That is part of gym culture, unfortunately. And you don't have to work out in a gym either. You work out wherever you want. Work out in the garden. Work out, in nature, right? Visit nature and then work out in it. Climb a tree, learn about that tree, work in the garden, right? Help restore ecology while physically restoring your own body, which is part of ecology, right? But don't work out for yourself. Work out for nature so that you can keep helping, like, restore a thriving, diverse ecosystem, which will take physically putting your hands in the dirt, using your muscles to dig, to plant, to trim, right? To make, in Hawaii here, we're restoring huge swaths of our land as fast as we can. My brother does that. I do that. That takes a lot of physical work. Lifting heavy buckets of soil and plant matter, chopping some things, planting other things. That's a lot of physical work, and you got to be as healthy as you can. If you become this, and so if you care about climate change and you're not working out, it's nonsense, because that's part of the process, right? Which non-Western countries, the biggest non-Western country, has restored 10% of its territory with forest and green land, and is doing the most for climate change in terms of renewable and sustainable engineering and technology by far, right? They're doing that because there's also the place where they have 7-year-olds working out, right? And they're doing that for the collective, for the environment, and for all people, right? So they're working out so they can keep on, Hawaiians, we're staying in shape so we can keep on working on our land, stopping things like the Lahaina fires by restoring our historical sustainable agriculture, which took a lot of physical labor, right? If not working was one of the being a lazy person, which is not doing what you're able to, is one of the biggest faux pas. That was really frowned upon in Hawaiian culture for sure. Not because we just wanted to rag on people, but because we understood that everyone needed to contribute what they could for the collective. And if large numbers of people stopped, then we would not be able to thrive and prosper, right? Because there will always be sick, there will always be elderly, there will always be disabled, there will always be children, and who are less able, new people, and they will need care, just like elderly people need care and disabled people need care. But because of that, we need to have all the people who are partially abled or really abled to do everything they can while they are able, right? So that when they get older and then less able, then they will have other people doing that work for them. This is like the pension plan, right? The pension plan, it only works when the new generation is paying into it, so that the elderlies can be taken care of, right? But it's like if generation is just, well, I'm not gonna do anything now. When you are able, that breaks the whole system, and then everyone is worse off for it, right? But that is the Western selfish place. People are saying, well, I'm not gonna keep moving the wheel. I think I'm done pushing. I think I'm done, putting in my hours, and then everything is, that's not the only thing, but that's a part of what is causing things that is part of a problem that's gonna get exacerbated as things go on. And so so work out for nature, work out for so that you can contribute to everyone else in your household, right? Not like, I don't want, it's like a JFK, but JFK quoting indigenous people, ripping off indigenous people Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. But don't sign up to work for the U.S. military industrial complex and imperialism. That's about global destruction and wealth stealing for billionaires. But I mean, contribute to your fellow humans and non-human relatives in nature, and that's really what you should be doing it for. Not because you personally want to look good or not look good, because you personally don't feel like it because you're lazy. You know, these are not reasons, right? You should be like, I want to do everything I can so that I can contribute everything I can physically, mentally, etc., creatively to the collective, to nature, to our relational systems that we all exist in and cannot exist outside of, no matter what some weird science fiction author tries to tell you, speaking as a science fiction author. Anyways, that's the end of this, and so do a workout, no excuses, do the best of your ability, yeah. And anyways, so if you appreciate that, don't forget everything we do is supported at ko-fi.com/silverspook. If you appreciate this, we do we could definitely use the support so we can keep doing this work that we try our best to do, including the streams, the educational streams, as well as doing the land back decolonial work that takes a lot of physical labor, let me tell you, and also working on Neofeud 2, a cyberpunk adventure game that is about an anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist, anti-racist cyberpunk adventure game. When you become a Silver Spook Patreon, you also get access to the Silver Spook Discord, Silver Spook behind the scenes on what we're working on in terms of physically in the Silver Spook Cooperative and the Silver Spook Compound, as well as the Silver Spook University, which is Silver Spook University is over hundreds of hours of streams and education, a lot of what's on this YouTube channel, but categorized so that people can learn what they need to know, what your children need to know, as education systems are full of Western lies about past, present, and future, informal schooling, modern books, and media. And so this is like economics, politics, history, from a native Hawaiian, anti-colonial, anti-imperialist perspective, categorized by topics like economics, race specific, region specific, Asia, Africa, Latin America, the Pacific, indigenous peoples of Turtle Island. And this is, and so this is part of what you get when you become a Silver Spook Patreon patron. Also, you can grab the games such as Neofeud. Neofeud is a cyberpunk adventure game that is I worked on for about 2.5 years. It is a anti-capitalist, anti-racist cyberpunk game that is also supports everything we do here at the Silver Spook Cooperative. I mean, speaking of work, it did take 2.5 years of work. It's a lot of work. I'm working on Neofeud 2. It's taken 6 years of work, almost 7 years. And part of that is making sure that my body is physically able to support my mind to keep doing that work. And so if you have a second to leave even a short review, consider leaving a review, because if you liked it, because it does help us to get access to or helps the Steam algorithm to recommend it to people when they're browsing for games on Steam. You can also find Neofeud on itch.io for Windows and for Mac and for Linux. If you like to, if you don't use Steam, you can get Neofeud over there, and also you can get Neofeud on sale. There's also games like Decolonators, Indigenous Star, Pigeon with Gun, and Woman is a book by Holly, who was raised in right-wing evangelical Protestant Christianity, and it is a book that is critiques that right-wing Christianity, and it is free, or you can support us with some money when you pick it up through a donation. You can also follow at Silver Spook Games at Octodon.social, at Silver Spook Games at Mastodon.social on Mastodon, and you can also follow at Silver Spook Guy on Twitter, at Silver Spook Games minus the E in silver for the games related stuff. In Instagram, it's Silver Spook Games, and Facebook, we're everywhere. With a few exceptions. I don't post to TikTok too much. I'm not physically able to do that many dances. Just skill wise, also just Terminus Cyberstar, however, is a Terminus C is a account for a cyberpunk RPG that I'm the content director and lead writer of, called Terminus Cyberstar. It is a game that is coming out sometime in the near future, but you can ask in Discord when it is exactly, if you want to do that. You can also follow Holly. Holly at the Tech Fairy is a partner here, at this business and in raising children and the Silver Spook Housing Cooperative. Holly is also a producer and more with the Kate Nix Twitch stream music and variety show. Parent and caregiver to 2 native Hawaiian children. Writer with myself, writer, educator, Sapphic queer person, MECFS, as we said, survivor, disabled person who works out and does a whole ton of work on a regular basis, and masks, and those are all complementary and synergistic. Ali also can be followed at the Tech Fairy. And thanks everybody on this list. Thanks everybody on this list for your support. Without your support, it does become very hard for us to keep doing this work. Stay healthy. Everyone on the list, stay as healthy as you possibly can. Please mask if you're on this list, okay? Because we really need you to not get sick. I mean, just don't get sick with COVID because it's horrible. It's really horrible. And it will make your life horrible and people around you, their lives horrible the more repeat infections you get. I can't, there can't be enough PSAs about that. So, but thank you so much for all your support, and we'll be back later on for the Twitch stream. And until next time, keep your mirror shades polished. Keep lifting your, exercise your cyber arm with cyber weights. Give your humanoid arm humanoid weights, the free ones that you can get from nature called rocks. And also, we'll see you next time.